I know, that's your main question. Okay, sit down. So, today we will learn about 20th century literature, their features, prominent writers, the major events. Okay, so we saw that all the literary age, they had their influence on the writings. Okay, the backgrounds, the politics, but it was really prominent in 20th century. Okay, and this 20th century is so close to us. It's just 25 years further, and the events we still can relate. Okay, the first half of 20th century was modern period, and second half was postmodern, and we're still having this postmodern period. We're living in this period, so these two periods are really important. So we will learn 20th century literature. First, it's the major events. First event was the World Wars, World War I and World War II. It covered almost from 1914 to 1945, almost 30 plus years. Okay, and in the meantime, when there was no war, there was tension between the countries. Okay, it was not a very peaceful situation. Countries were like, we will fight, maybe we will start fighting. You can relate it with the India-Pakistan recent fights. They are about to start a war. Okay, the devastating impact of World War I and World War II led to a shift in literary forms from optimism to disillusionment, okay, to the reality. Writers explored themes of war, loss, and psychological effects of conflict. How conflicts and wars actually influence the life of human and societal structures. Okay, and then comes the interwar period. What happened between these two wars? The period between the two world wars saw continued exploration of themes of war, social unrest, and political disillusionment. There was political tension, political disillusionment. Then comes the Cold War. The Cold War roughly from 1947 to 1991. USSR and USA. Okay. Yes, and different stuffs. Those war distracted world was trying to find out who is the next world hero. Okay, had a profound impact on literature, with writers exploring themes of fear, paranoia, and the threat of nuclear annihilation. Annihilation means killing. Record hocche. Annihilation means killing. Even now we are having a fear of nuclear bombing, right? Maybe nuclear weapons will be used and the world will be in a different position. Okay, the rise of modernism, a movement that challenged traditional literary forms and styles. Think about the 19th century literature, Romantic period, right? Okay, what happened there? People started to write about love, loss, love, especially love, supernatural stuffs. Do you remember the romantic poetries and all? What was the topics? Okay, so those were the forms. There were different forms of writing, specific forms of romantic period writing. Okay, specific themes, specific topics, and these things started to change with the rise of modernism, a movement that challenged traditional literary forms and styles. Modernist writers experimented with free verses. Okay, say they are writing a poem, but they are not matching the end lines. Okay, and then forms and styles. Modernist versus stream of consciousness and fragmented narratives. You can think about think about the wasteland. The writers, the speakers were changing, the time were changing. So the narrative was fragmented. It was not structured. Okay, think about the words or sentences of look back in anger. It's fragmented. Okay, it's not clear. Okay, especially you can relate it with this wasteland. It was literally, it had no structure. Okay. Then comes surrealism. The art and literary movement explored the unconscious mind and dreams, influencing writers to experiment with imagery and language. Imagery stuffs. Think about the shield of Achilles. Okay, you'll feel like this thing is happening, but you are having some references from myths and worse. Things are not real. Things are not fake. These are surreal. Okay, in between these two. Okay, so surrealism is important here. And psychoanalysis, the theories of Sigmund Freud, particularly those concerning the unconscious mind, had a significant impact on literary analysis and fiction. We saw that our Jimmy Porter is from a working class struggling person. Okay, I taught you psychoanalysis where I said that the way a child is born and took care of, this actually influences his behavior. Okay, so Jimmy is an example of that. Okay, people started to adopt that psychoanalysis theory and use that to explain the characters. Okay, the characters who are having a nice upbringing, they will be gentlemen, good persons. Okay, well behaved. They will not be aggressive. So this theory was adopted to the writings and diverse voices. The 20th century saw also the rise of diverse voices in literature, including those of women. Like, it was not like the man is only writing, even the women started to write, and marginalized groups and writers from different cultures. Okay. Post-colonial literature, I say that the Europeans who colonized us wrote about us for years. They wrote whatever they had to convince the world that we are civilizing these savages. Okay, but what happened is people from those regions started to write back. I said those are counter narratives. The things the Europeans wrote, those were meta narratives. Okay, the fake description of people, okay, of colonized lands. And then the counter narratives was from the colonized people who started writing the realities. Okay, so there was different culture. People from different cultures started to write about their own struggles. Okay, it was not like the aristocrat will write only the romantic stories. Okay, romantic poetries, or it will be about wars. Okay, it was not like that. People started to write about literally everything that's real. Okay. And also females were involved in writing. They started to write back. They started to write about their own struggles. Okay. And prominent writers were Virginia Woolf. She was a feminist writer. Ernest Hemingway. His themes were war, love, loss. Ernest Hemingway is famous for his iceberg theory. Do you know the iceberg theory?
We are not familiar with this.
Not?
No.
Never?
We had already done the critical theory and criticism, but we never did this one.
Iceberg?
Iceberg theory? You don't know about iceberg theory?
Iceberg theory is one kind of like
The picture of an iceberg? That was for writing, maybe. For writing or for critical?
Modernize.
Okay. Let me just give you some ideas about the iceberg theories. He's famous for that, okay? Okay, so this is an iceberg, okay? Don't put much focus on my picture. Ignore my picture. So this is the water level. You know about Titanic? Nice water. I know that's a very nice water. Don't comment. Okay. Maybe he's hungry. Okay, listen. So Titanic কেমনে ধ্বংস হয়েছিল আইসবার্গে ধাক্কা লেগে ঠিক আছে what happened how like they saw the iceberg maybe it was late because there was fog they couldn't see it properly but they took the turn okay But what happened is they didn't guess that there will be so much, this iceberg is so big, they couldn't guess. And that's where the main accident happened. Okay, জাহাজ নিচে থেকে ফেটে গেছিল। কিভাবে নিচে থেকে ফাটছে? যে নিচে যে এত বড় আইসবার্গ ওরা গেস করতে পারে, এটা পাহাড়ের মতো বিশাল ছিল, ঠিক আছে, ওইখানে ধাক্কা লেগেছে, এখান থেকে কিন্তু ওরা টার্ন ব্যাক নিতে পেরেছিল। ওকে, সো আইসের থিওরি হচ্ছে এক ভাগের আট ভাগের এক ভাগ হচ্ছে উপরে ভেসে থাকবে আর 8 ভাগ হচ্ছে নিচে ডুবে থাকবে, ঠিক আছে। এবার দ্য আইসবার্গ থিওরি অফ লিটারেচার ইজ আ সিমিলার থিং। সে আই এম রাইটিং এ স্টোরি অফ দ্যাট আর্নেস্ট হেমিংওয়ে। এক্স্যাক্ট হয়তো লিখতে পারবো না, একটা দুটো ওয়ার্ড এদিক হতে পারে, লেট মি ট্রাই। ইট ওয়াজ okay, you know this story? This is a short story of 6 lines. Okay, this is called a 6-word story. Okay, this is a complete story. How is this a complete story? It said that for sale, baby shoe never worn. Okay, বলেছে যে বিক্রি হবে, কি বিক্রি হবে? বেবি শু বিক্রি হবে, কখনো পরা হয়নি। বেবি শু সাধারণত কখন কেনা হয়? বাচ্চাকে দেওয়ার জন্য, ঠিক আছে। সো ইউ ক্যান মেক আপ দ্য স্টোরি। দিস ইজ দ্য 1/8 পোর্শন, জাস্ট 1 পোর্শন, দিস ওয়ান। বাকি 7 ভাগ আপনি বানায় নেন, আপনি অ্যাজিউম করে নেন, আপনি প্রিজিউম করে নেন, আপনি ভেবে নেন, ঠিক আছে। You just have to think. As a reader, you have to think stuff, you have to imagine, you have to make up a story, you have to bring an explanation. So that was the theory of Ernest Hemingway. So you can say that maybe a woman was pregnant and the baby died in the womb, maybe, or baby was born but couldn't manage to wear this, okay, he was dead. Or maybe baby was born without legs, okay, it can be anything. So this kind of stories, or think about the cat in the rain, you read that, right? No? No. Okay. So in poems or in stories, short stories especially, we see many events and then we relate, maybe this is the representation of that. Okay. So the story of Cat in the Rain is more or less like a woman, she is in a hotel room, she sees a cat which is stuck in the rain, and she feels uncomfortable seeing that. She runs to the reception and says that I want to have this cat, I want to rescue this cat, and he brings the cat from that rain to herself. Okay, where it is represented, it is said that the cat itself represents the woman. He is surrounded by the rain or the realities of life, or the cat may be a sign of her not having baby. Maybe she couldn't conceive baby, so she wanted to adopt this cat. It can be anything. So according to Ernest Hemingway, if I say everything in my writing, then what is the purpose of reading? Let my audience guess. I will tell a story that will be 1/8 portion of my whole thing, and the 7th portion, the rest 7, let them guess. Okay, that's the iceberg theory, and I think we have adopted that so much that even the writers who have said every single thing, every single details, didn't give you any chance to guess. We started to guess that even. মানে রাইটার সব লিখে দিয়ে গেছে, তাও আমরা এখন গেস করতে শুরু করেছি। উই হ্যাভ অ্যাডপ্টেড দিস দ্যাট মাচ। ওকে, আর্নেস্ট হেমিংওয়ের আইসবার্গ থিওরি অনেক ইম্পর্টেন্ট, ঠিক আছে। এখান থেকে কিন্তু ছোট গল্পের জন্ম, যে সবটা বলে না, অল্প কিছু করে বলে, অ্যান্ড বাকিটা অডিয়েন্সকে গেস করতে বলে। Okay, then comes George Orwell. George Orwell এর দুটো ফেমাস বই আছে। One is 1984. It was written in 1948. Do you know about George Orwell's Animal Farm? But this one Animal Farm and 1984. These two are really important. You can watch movies, but I will suggest you should read the books. Okay, so this Animal Farm, he wrote 1984 in 1948, and he didn't know how to name them. Okay, then he started to think what will be the name, and he wrote this 1984. Okay, so 1948, 1984 এক জিনিস, things will be changed. প্রায় 50 বছরের ডিফারেন্স, তাই না? অনেক কিছু চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাবে, বাট কীভাবে এটাকে এটার সাথে ওভারল্যাপ করে? 1984 আর 1948 লেখা 1984 হচ্ছে এমন একটা বই যেখানে দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ড, হু কন্ট্রোলস দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ড, হাউ দে কন্ট্রোল দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ড, ঠিক আছে? এবং যুগের পর যুগ সেম স্টাইলে যে ওয়ার্ল্ডকে কন্ট্রোল করা হচ্ছে, এটা একটা হচ্ছে টাইমলেস রাইটিং। আপনি যদি এখন পড়েন, আপনি এখনের গভর্নমেন্টের সাথে এটাকে কেমন যেন রিলেট করে ফেলতে পারবেন, ঠিক আছে? এখনকার ওয়ার্ল্ড পলিটিক্সের সাথে রিলেট করে ফেলতে পারবেন, দ্যাট কাইন্ড অফ বুক। অ্যান্ড অ্যানিম্যাল ফার্ম হচ্ছে, পড়েছেন কেউ? শুনেছেন সামারিটা? এটা হচ্ছে ছোটো একটা অ্যানিমেল, বড় একটা অ্যানিমেল থাকে, অ্যানিমেলরা মিলে বলে যে আমাদেরকে তো আমরা সব দুধ দিচ্ছি, আমরা ডিম দিচ্ছি, ঠিক আছে? ওরা খাচ্ছে, আমাদেরকে খাচ্ছে, কেন খাবে? আমরা একটা আন্দোলন করি, নিজেদেরকে শাসন করব, ঠিক আছে? এটা করে তাদের যে ফার্মের যে ওনার থাকে তাকে হচ্ছে ভাগায় দেয়, তার লোকজন সহ নিজেরা ওখানে থাকতে শুরু করে। তারপর ওদের মধ্যে থেকে লিডার আসে, এবং ওই লিডার সেম এই যে ফ্যাসিস্ট টাইপের লিডার হয়ে যায়, ঠিক আছে? যে যুগে যুগে পাওয়ার স্ট্রাকচার চেঞ্জ হলে যে এরকমই হতে থাকে, ওইটা হচ্ছে একটা এক্সাম্পল। হ্যাঁ, জর্জ অরওয়েলের এই দুটা লাইনেই, মানে দুইটা রাইটিং অনেক বেশি ফেমাস, ঠিক আছে? শুটিং অ্যান্ড এলিফ্যান্ট তো একটা ছোটো গল্প, তাই না? ছোটো শর্ট স্টোরি। ওকে, and then comes T.S. Eliot. He was both American and British writer. And D.H. Lawrence, Samuel Beckett, W.B. Yeats. W.B. Yeats এর আমরা কি পড়েছি? Second Coming. Then Joseph Conrad. Okay. পজ করো তো ভিডিওটা। ওকে, দেখেন, we can divide this period, 20th century, in two parts, both modernist era and then comes postmodernist. Okay, it's early 20th century. Here are some features of modernist writing. Okay, the things that were covered in the first half of 20th century, say 1950 এর আগ পর্যন্ত যতটুকু কভার হয়েছে: disillusionment and loss of innocence. The horrors of World War I shattered the optimism of the Victorian era, leading to a sense of disillusionment and a questioning of traditional values, like the traditional values, traditional ways of living, social structures. So all of this, the loss of and horror of world wars, actually questioned all this. That is this really meaningful? Does the structure have any meaning? What is it doing? Is it bringing any good for us or not? And then comes alienation and estrangement. Writers like Virginia Woolf explored the alienation of individuals in society and their own sense of self. Like everyone was alienated from others, even from the families and friends. To some extent, they were having a feelings that we're not connected to each other, not connected to the world. And then existentialism and the search for meaning. People were searching for meaning of life, especially, and they were existential. They were living in the present. Okay. When you will live in the present, when you will not think about the ties of the past or the consequences of the future, you will not be a good person. You will be a bad person. Okay. And then the inner workings of the human mind. Writers like James Joyce employed techniques like stream of consciousness to delve into the complexities of human mind, like G.B. Porter. Okay, why is he rude? Because of the background. Okay, this unconscious things are brought into the literature. Imperial decline, the decline of British Empire, even from our lands. They actually left Indian subcontinent in the ending of this first half, right? 1947. And rise of colonial movements. were also explored in literature of this period. Like in different literature, you will find a vibe of colonial powers are going from our land or something like that. You will get a vibe. Interwar and post-war periods. So the writings of this period had the topics of war's aftermath, like what happened because of the war. Like if you look to the topics or themes of 1980s writings, okay, from Bangladesh, it will be full of the description of wars, okay, the aftermath of wars. Social and political activism. Writers like George Orwell and Evelyn Waugh explored issues of social injustice, class inequality, and rise of totalitarian regimes. So here you can see that in 1948 at Animal Farm, it was, these two were of political things, okay, political consciousness. So they actually tried to make people understand that yes, one power has gone, but the other power will overpower you like the previous one. So new government will come and new government will be corrupted like the previous government. Okay, the rise of psychoanalysis, I already mentioned that. And then comes late 20th century. It was postmodern era. Postmodern literature embraced a sense of fragmentation. You can see it in the look back in anger. Fragmentation, irony bujhen. Okay, and a questioning of grand narratives reflecting the complexities of rapid changing world. The world is rapidly changing. Diverse voices and perspectives. The late 20th century, I already said that women started to write, the people from different culture as they are educated now. In previous times, only the aristocrats were educated. They used to write for the aristocrats. Right now, they are writing for the common people. Okay, so common people can also read and write. They started to write for themselves. Globalization and the intercultural dialogue. The increasing interconnectedness of the world led to a focus on themes of globalization, intercultural dialogues, and the complexities of identity in a globalized world. Okay, in previous times it was like they are writing about their own things, but now the globalization has started and other countries got involved, and a reflection of that can be seen in literature also. Okay, so these are the features of 20th century literature. First, you will get the modernist style. Traditional literary styles were broken. Okay, the period saw a break from traditional literary styles, with writers experiencing the stream of consciousness, fragmented narratives, and unconventional language. The language is not okay. The language are unconventional. They are not following the sentence structure. They are not following the, think about prose. They will have a rhyme scheme, but they were writing without any rhyme scheme, blank verses. Okay, then comes postmodernism. Following World War II, postmodernism explored the decline of grand narratives and the questioning of authority, opened self-referential techniques, and focused on a language and style. Okay, they focused on different type of language and style. Okay, so novels especially became famous in this period. Experimentation. Writers delved into various forms and styles, including surrealism, symbolism, and non-traditional poetic structure. Traditional poetic structure is it will have a meter, okay, fixed meter, then it will be in rhyme scheme. Okay, but what is the non-traditional poetic structure? That it will be blank verse. Okay, the meters can be different. I can write anything. The poems will be a spontaneous overflow of my mind. I don't have to think about the structure or the rhymes. I'll just write whatever I want to write in a poetic form. And they changed the styles, and they included surrealism. Like it's not real, not fake. It's in between these two. It will feel like real. Okay. Then comes focus on individual consciousness. The inner world of characters became a central focus, with writers exploring psychology, dreams, and the subconscious. You will get that in different writings where this Freud's psychoanalysis theory is involved. And even in Jimmy's case, Cliff said that Jimmy behaves like he is wanted. Okay, he behaves like he is wanted. In the childhood, he had a traumatic childhood. That's why he is like this. He is verbally aggressive. Rejection of romanticism, like this era rejected the theories of romantic periods. Themes of war, social injustice and absurdity, we have already saw that. Stream of unconsciousness, then fragmented structure. The writing structure was fragmented. The novel of the city. Think about Look Back in Anger. The setting is a city, right? It's not a village. And think about The Shield of Achilles. Same. The rugged urchin, the boy who was walking around a city, war-distracted city, right? Okay. And then writing from the margins, I say that different people from the different cultures and marginal people started to write. Done. That's all. So these are the features of 20th century and the major writers. For exam, you don't have to read about the writers, but you have to read about the major events. Okay, these are important. All of these actually affected the writing of that period. And themes, obviously, the 20th century is divided into three here. First one was modernist, and then the post-war, and then postmodernist. Okay, all of these three periods are important. You wanted to know about some questions, right? Questions from the second coming, questions from the wasteland. Stop the video.